Did you know that in the state of Arizona, it's literally a crime to let your donkey sleep inside a bathtub? Sounds like the kind of joke you'd hear in a comedy show, right? Like something your friend would make up to win an argument. Bro, you can't do that. Did you know it's illegal for a donkey to nap in a bathtub?
This law is widely claimed to be real.
And the reason behind it isn't just weird, it is legendary. Because behind this law lies a chaotic true story involving one very stubborn donkey, one abandoned bathtub, a freak natural disaster, and a rescue mission that turned an entire small town upside down. So sit back, because today you're about to hear the full, bizarre, unbelievable story of how a runaway donkey in a bathtub forced Arizona lawmakers to write one of the strangest laws in American history. Our story begins over a century ago, in the early 1900s, in a quiet mining town called Kingman, Arizona. Back then, Kingman wasn't the busy Route 66 stop you know today. It was rural, dusty, full of cattle, ranchers, and long, silent desert roads. Everyone knew everyone. Families helped each other, and most ranchers had at least one loyal donkey who did the heavy labor, carrying supplies, pulling carts, and helping with long days of work under the blazing sun. One such donkey belonged to a rancher who lived on the outskirts of town, a hard-working man with a simple life, and even simpler property. Among his belongings was an old, rusty, abandoned bathtub sitting behind his house. The kind of random junk people leave outside because maybe I'll fix it someday, but never actually do. To humans, it was trash. But to one donkey, it was paradise. Every evening, after a full day of hauling goods and walking miles in the desert heat, this donkey had a ritual. He would wander behind the house, nudge the bathtub, step inside, and plop down like a king settling into his royal bed. To him, that bathtub wasn't metal. It was comfort, shade, a cool embrace from the scorching desert, a private suite. The rancher didn't mind. Why would he? A donkey sleeping in a bathtub wasn't hurting anyone, and day after day, week after week, the donkey's bathtub naps became part of the ranch's daily life, until one day, nature decided to shake things up. Arizona is famous for its monsoon storms. When the sky turns black, the wind howls, and within minutes, dry land becomes a river. One such storm barreled toward Kingman unexpectedly. Dark clouds gathered like an army. Lightning cracked open the sky, and before anyone could react, a massive flash flood slammed into the town. Rivers overflowed. Mud and debris rushed across the desert floor. Homes, fences, and equipment were swept away like they weighed nothing. The rancher's property was right in the flood's path. Within minutes, water surged toward the back of his house, straight toward the bathtub. The donkey, asleep inside his beloved tub, woke up to the violent jolt of water lifting it off the ground. Before the rancher could even reach him, the bathtub was swept away. Imagine being a local rancher and seeing your donkey float away in an old bathtub like some bizarre desert version of Noah's Ark. The floodwaters turned the bathtub into a makeshift boat, and the poor donkey, confused, terrified, braying loudly, began drifting miles away from home. The water carried him over fields, roads, and dry creek beds that were suddenly wild rivers. People in nearby areas claim they saw a bathtub with a donkey screaming down the river like a runaway canoe. It became the strangest, most chaotic sight anyone in Kingman had ever witnessed. Soon, the whole town learned what happened, and Kingman, Arizona did what small towns do best. They rallied together. Firefighters rushed to the scene. Local ranchers jumped on horseback. Neighbors grabbed ropes and tools. Men and women followed the drifting bathtub through the desert as the donkey continued his unwilling voyage. It wasn't easy. The floodwaters were dangerous. Mud sucked at people's boots. The current changed direction constantly. And the donkey's panic didn't help. Every time someone got close, he kicked, spun, and nearly capsized his metal bathtub boat. The rescue lasted for hours. At one point, the bathtub got wedged in a ravine. At another, it was nearly swept into deeper waters. Every move had to be careful. If the bathtub flipped, the donkey could drown. Finally, with ropes, manpower, and a whole lot of frustration, the rescuers managed to pull the bathtub to safety and soothe the traumatized donkey. He survived, but the town paid a heavy price. Firefighters used equipment they could barely afford. Ranchers lost time from work. The town spent hours and resources recovering one donkey because of one ridiculous bathtub. And people were not happy. A heated town meeting followed the rescue. Citizens were furious, not at the donkey, but at the absurdity of the situation. Why was the donkey in a bathtub in the first place? How did this even happen? What if another flood comes? What if this happens again? So the townspeople decided to take action to prevent this exact scenario from ever repeating itself. They drafted a rule, a new law, simple, direct, specific. It is illegal for donkeys to sleep in bathtubs, not walk in them, not stand in them, not lounge in them, sleep in them. Because sleeping was the problem. It made the donkey too comfortable to get out before disaster struck. And just like that, one of the strangest laws in U.S. history was born.
People still repeat this story today as if the law exists, but the legend is what survived.
It's almost never enforced. Modern Arizona has bigger problems than bathtub sleeping donkeys.
But the story remains a hilarious reminder.
A runaway bathtub sparked an entire rescue operation. A reminder that sometimes laws aren't made by politicians in suits, but by a tired donkey who just wanted a comfortable place to sleep. So the next time you visit Arizona, don't stress about the rattlesnakes. Don't worry about the scorching heat. Don't fear the cacti. But whatever you do, make sure your donkey stays out of the bathtub. Because history has shown once is more than enough.
And that is the strange Arizona legend of the donkey in the bathtub. But here's the crazy part. This is just one of the many weird laws and bizarre stories hiding across the United States. Some were created by accident, some were born from chaos, and some are so strange you won't believe they ever existed. So if you want more unbelievable stories like this one, more laws that make no sense, and more mysteries buried in American history, make sure you're here for the next episode. Because trust me, the donkey in the bathtub is only the beginning.